Something that was helpful to me deconstructing Christianity was to read the memoirs of others who have left their religions. And I didn't just read memoirs of people leaving evangelical Christianity. I read memoirs of many different religions and found that we are a lot more similar than we are different. Here are my top 5 favorite memoirs of leaving religion. Leaving the Witness by Amber Scora. This is about leaving Jehovah's Witness. Godless by Dan Barker, how an evangelical preacher became one of America's leading atheists. Unfollow by Megan Phelps Roper. This is about leaving the Westboro Baptist Church. Educated by Tara Westover. This is about leaving a fanatical Doomsday Mormon cult. And Wayward by Alice Gregson, and this is about leaving charismatic Christianity. Links in bio.
I am so glad you brought this verse up. Let's dissect it. Okay, so let's read the verse. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. Okay, so to understand this verse and the word rod in it, you have to take in the context and culture of the time that this verse was written. When they reference the word rod, they're referencing the rod that the shepherds would use in guiding their sheep. They would have this rod and they would gently guide their sheep back into place when the sheep would veer off the path that they so chose for them. They did not beat their sheep. Unfortunately, Christians have taken this verse and used it as complete permission to enact corporal punishment to keep their children in line. It's abuse, and I'm going to explain why. So, for example, let's say that you see somebody using a belt or some kind of tool or even their hand to beat an animal because the animal was disobedient. Would you think that's inappropriate and call the authorities? I'd hope so. So if it's inappropriate to do that to an animal, why do we do that to our children and promote it? There's going to have to be a part 2.
So my 9-year-old asked me today what Pride Month was because he's seeing all these videos of people, assholes, celebrating that Pride Month is over. And I was shocked he didn't know what it was, but he didn't. So I explained it to him, and straight-faced, he's like, why isn't every month Pride Month? Like, he didn't understand why people are mean to those that are different, and the kids are going to be all right, guys. The biggest mistake that fundamentalism made, in my opinion, was trying to convince us that the Bible is literal. It's clearly not literal. There are so many illogical stories and narratives in the Bible that there's just no way that they're literal unless you have an exorbitant amount of faith in the supernatural. And if your brain doesn't work like that, like you don't have faith in the supernatural to that extent to believe in crazy stories that are just simply not true, that's their mistake. Of course we don't believe in this illogical nonsense. And then they want to treat us like we're bad people and that we're going to hell because we don't believe in illogical nonsense as being literal facts. How fair is that? That's ridiculous. Oh, well, you don't believe that? Well, we're better than you. I mean, come on, people. It's just garbage. Who wants to tell Matthew West and the rest of the Christian father-husband types that subscribe to this modest is hottest idea? Who wants to tell them that it doesn't matter what you're wearing if you're a woman in this world today? It does not matter. You're still going to be gazed at if you're in a sweatsuit or if you're in a crop top. And also, predators are more likely to mess with a meek woman in Amish clothing than they are to mess with a woman who is clearly confident in her sexuality and a little bit worldly and a little bit knowledgeable about men and predatory behavior. They're gonna mess with the meek ones. So I think this modest is hottest is actually contradictory to what you're trying to do in protecting your daughters. Don't you think that leaving religion is a lot like leaving the popular girls group in high school, you know, the mean girls? Like you realize you don't want to be a part of something that's mean to other people, or you don't want to have to follow illogical rules like you can't wear pink on Fridays, or you don't want to believe the illogical reasons for the rules. Like, why can't I wear pink on Fridays? And they're like, well, because this is the rules and this is why, and here's all the reasons why, even though it makes no sense. And you're just like gaslighted by saying, well, I want to wear pink on Fridays. And then you're like, why are we being mean to that group of people over there? And then the mean girls tells you, well, we have to because that's the rules. They're bad people. They're going to hell because that's what the rules say. And then you're the asshole because you don't want to be a part of it, even though you see how oppressive and mean it is. And also, just like the movie Mean Girls, the religion even has a burn book. On today's episode of Things I've Learned in my Recovering from Religion support group was that I was speaking to an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and Jehovah's Witnesses actually stopped all street proselytizing during COVID. They stopped having kingdom halls, which is their church services, during COVID. This blows my mind that Jehovah's Witnesses did the right thing here and chose people's safety over their religion and over their power, because a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses left the religion during this time. So it was actually a risky factor for them to care about people. So why was evangelicalism out holding huge worship rallies and protesting masks and crying persecution that we were trying to stop them from worshiping? I don't understand the religion of my youth at this point today. And the only thing I can point to is that it's a political system now instead of a religion. One of my favorite quotes comes from the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and it is brilliant and it completely helps us understand the current religious political climate. Sometimes the Bible in the hand of one man is worse than a whiskey bottle in the hand of another. There are just some kind of men who are so busy worrying about the next world, they've never learned to live in this one, and you can look down the street and see the results. How true is this? The Bible can be used to justify racism, such as in the Curse of Ham narrative. It can be used to justify slavery, beating your slaves, and it's also used to justify not working to reduce suffering in the here and now. Why care about it if it's going to be destroyed? I find it interesting that the default position of the way that most people believe is that there will be an end of the world. But the end of the world is not supposed to happen for 4 billion years. In 4 billion years, there will be no life on Earth because the temperatures will be too hot. However, right now, it is not the end of the world. It might be the end of humanity, and even then, only the large population will not survive, but there's rich people with bunkers and they will survive whatever happens with this climate change disaster. So if humans could actually understand that we have millions of years left on this planet of life, why are we hastening our extinction with these bad decisions and terrible systems that make Earth worse? We can make it better. We can create a better world. Just get on board. It's not over.